Welcome in another Monday Live. I'm Jason Priester, all ClemsonTigers.com, part of the Clemson Maven multimedia platform covering all things Clemson sports. And that is what we did this weekend. Juggled softball, baseball, all at the same time. It was fun. It was exciting. Nice to see some energy like that back in Doug Kingsmore. We'll touch on that in a minute. Started off with softball. Got a little hairy there yesterday. Dropped that first game to Auburn, but Tigers rebound, take care of business in that second game yesterday, eliminate Auburn. They'll be moving on to Oklahoma to face the Sooners in a super regional that begins Friday. Tough task ahead for these ladies, make no mistake. But I would absolutely give them a puncher's chance. I know all about Oklahoma. I know they're this big-time powerhouse. I know they've only lost one game this season. I think Clemson has the pitching to make it competitive. Only one team in the nation has a lower team ERA than Clemson, and that's Oklahoma. I think they can. I think they have the pitching to make this competitive. We'll see how it goes. Starts Friday. It's a heck of a weekend there at McWhorter Stadium. Hot, but it was fun. Baseball keeps rolling right along. Another sweep to end the season, or end the regular season, should I say. Took out the Tar Heels this weekend. One of the crazier games I've ever seen in Game 2 on Friday. Clemson takes a one-run lead into the ninth inning, brings Ryan Ammons on to close things out, and he does exactly what he's brought out there to do. Get some weak fly balls. Only problem is your fielders can't see them, man, and they're falling on the ground. There were 3 weak fly balls hit in that ninth inning that were not caught. There were 2 more that were eventually caught, but guys had problems finding and didn't find them to the last possible minute. Blake Wright found one there late in foul territory. Will Taylor out in left field. But, it wasn't just 1 or 2 guys. It was the whole left side of the field. Couldn't see the ball. People in the stands couldn't see the ball. Eric Backus talked a little bit about it after the game, said there's this certain time right at twilight, just after the sun goes down, the sky is still blue, and there's just if you get just the right kind of cloud cover, it makes the ball impossible to see. And there was a very odd-looking, weird-looking cloud that rolled over right about that time. Don't know if that's exactly what he was talking about, but I just happened to notice it. Made for an exciting ninth inning. But, man, just like we've seen from this team so many times, they just come right back in the bottom half of the inning. Caden Grice draws a big walk. Blake Wright drills one and drives him home. Tigers walk it off. They will now head to the ACC tournament where we get the ever-exciting pool play. Have I mentioned that I hate pool play? It is the worst way to decide a champion. Why would you set up a tournament where you're going to have meaningless games? It just makes absolutely no sense. I get it. I get the part about some coaches liking it because it kind of saves on your pitching compared to what you might go through in a double elimination tournament. Eric Backus made his feelings pretty clear on the subject. He flat out said he was not a fan of full play Saturday night. Said he just can't comprehend, the fact that there might be some meaningless games. Don't expect Clemson to take that mindset. He made it pretty clear they would be absolutely out to win every game they play, no matter where it's at. Don't look for Clemson if they win that first game on Wednesday and know they're pretty much locked into the semifinal. Don't look them for sit a bunch of guys in that Friday game. They'll be out to win. They're in the pool with Virginia Tech, Boston College, 2 familiar opponents. Virginia Tech gave them everything they could handle in that series a couple weeks ago. Clemson swept it, but Virginia Tech pushed them to the limit. Make no mistake, that team can rake. Michael DeMartini or Christian DeMartini. I can't. DeMartini, his last name's DeMartini. He just killed Clemson pitching that weekend. Probably the hardest I've seen Clemson's pitching staff hit, at least since we've seen them on this turnaround that they're in the midst of. They just tattooed Clemson's pitchers that weekend. Fortunately for Clemson, they've got the bats to kind of, overcome that kind of thing. There's the dog. She's got to get her screen time every week. Make no mistake. What's up, Brady? What's up, Mike? I know Michael's got some recruiting questions. Always does. Never fails every week. The dog kind of interrupted my train of thought of what I was talking about there. So if you got them, drop them. We'll get to them now. Dabo's camps are coming up next week. There is a quarterback coming in from Alabama, a 3-star. People were kind of high on him coming out of his sophomore season. Kind of had a down junior season, and interest started to wane a little bit. We'll see what he does at the camp. Kamari McClellan, that's his name. 3-star guy. He's not one of your more highly rated guys. Again, he's from Alabama. We'll see what he does at camp. Maybe he's your next quarterback offer, because I do not envision Grunkemeyer making it to campus. I think he's pretty all but a lock to Penn State. Was back up there for the Elite 11 this weekend. If you follow that stuff, there was a couple of crystal balls came out on him. I have pretty much quit tracking him. Mike Matthews, I don't really have anything new to add on him. He's going to take his officials, and you're going to have to go from there. Tennessee's probably Clemson's biggest competition. Don't discount Georgia. But I think Clemson's in it. I think they are in the thick of it. I'll go ahead and touch on Sammy Brown too, because the further we get into this thing and the closer we get to June officials, the worse I feel about Clemson's chances with Brown. He was not supposed to be at their scavenger hunt this past weekend, so they send commits to him. They have a workout there, man. It was all over Twitter. I'm sure y'all saw it. They sent commits over there, and Dylan Raiola, put on a throwing session in front of him. So they, instead of Brown going there, they sent some guys to him. The longer this thing plays out, it just kind of starts to feel like this is not going to go Clemson's way. They get one final swing at the bat, man, and I'm telling you, in the conversations I've had with him, the culture really is something that he likes at Clemson. He likes that family-like culture, the intimate, hands-on approach you get with the coaching staff, man. Everything's on such a personal level. So we'll see if they can, pretty much going to have to try and lock him in that weekend, set the bar so high, and hope nobody else reaches it. Again, Clemson, Georgia battle as we get into the stretch. Yeah, I don't know who leads for Mike Matthews. It's easy to say, yeah, he's a Clemson lead, and yeah, he's a Tennessee lead. I try to stay away from that, because You just don't know if you want to get right down to the truth of it. I, I can easily write something up and say, yeah, I think he's a Clemson lean right now, but I just don't do that. I really like Clemson's chances with him. I think they're in solid shape. That's as far as I'm going to take it. Still a long ways to go with him, and I don't think Tennessee can be discounted. Don't think Georgia can be discounted. I think Tennessee's in the thick of it too. They've been in it for the long haul, just like Clemson has, and it's going to be a dogfight for him. Whoever gets him is going to get a dynamic playmaker, though. Make no mistake, he is a 5-star for a reason. I can't believe Michael doesn't have any recruiting questions for me. Let's see what else I got wrote down here for tonight. I know I've told y'all for a few weeks now, I do not expect Jonathan Paylor to make it to Clemson's June official visit weekend. Turns out that's going to be the case. He's kind of been putting it out there publicly that he was coming to Clemson that weekend. Don't expect him to be there. Sounds like that visit's off now. I think you can take him off the board. He has made no bones about it. South Carolina is his leader, and I get it. You don't want to spend time trying to win over a guy that is already backed out of 2 visits earlier this year. Wouldn't have shocked me if he would have backed out of this one if he was still scheduled to come. I think that's just how deep he is with South Carolina right now. Very good player. If they do land him, they're going to get an excellent wide receiver, man. And he's talked about how teams are selling him on using him kind of like a hybrid running back receiver type deal. And he's talented enough to pull it off. He's really good. Again, I said it months ago. I know him and Alex Taylor talked about, or I can't remember if Taylor said it or Taylor said it or if they both said it, because those were Clemson's first 2 receiver offers in this class, but they had at one time talked about playing together at college, and I don't think it's going to play out that way. Taylor is not even taking an official to South Carolina. They're not even really on the radar with him anymore, so I don't see it playing out that way. And for any of y'all that missed it, I got a chance to spend a few minutes with Alex Taylor last night. Check it out. It's on the YouTube channel. Did a little one-on-one with him, about close to 15 minutes, I think. Talked about, kind of previewed his upcoming officials. How Clemson makes him feel like a priority and what being the first offer means, all that good stuff. Check that out. I would also remind everyone to hit that subscribe button. And if you're here with me every week, share it out, man. We can always welcome in more visitors. Fletcher Westphal, is he a plug-and-play type tackle or developmental prospect? He is more proof that Clemson's trying to get bigger and more athletic along the offensive line. He is a big boy. I don't remember his measurables right off the top of my head. Hold on just one second. But I'm not sure he's a plug-and-play type guy. It's hard for offensive linemen to come in and play year one, especially at Clemson. And you look at Clemson's offensive line room right now. You kind of wonder where he might fit in as a plug-and-play type guy. But he's pushing 6'8". He is very long, extremely. He's He's got the size, he's got the frame, he's got the build, and he's your prototypical left tackle. If he were to get here in 2024, I could see him having to sit a year, maybe let's say behind Tristan Lee. I can see it playing out that way. I'm not going to tell you he's not a plug and play type guy, because he is one of the better one of the better tackle prospects in this class. He is easily a top 250 talent. I want to say I'm pretty sure he's a consensus 4-star. But again, y'all know me, I don't pay too much attention to stars, but I think he's a 4-star by every service, if I'm remembering that right. But I mean, it's hard to say about plug and play. I would lean towards no, just based on the way Clemson handles those things. It tends to take at least a year. Wouldn't say it's impossible. I would just say less likely. Cam Coleman. What are our chances with Cam Coleman? Clemson's got work to do. I wouldn't call him the favorite, but I would absolutely say they've got a shot. He's kind of like Mike Matthews. If you can land Cam Coleman, you are adding a dynamic playmaker to your wide receiver room. And that is something that Clemson needs in this class. They need to add a dynamic playmaker at receiver. And Auburn's kind of been thought to be the favorite. I'm not sure how big of a favorite they are. He's from Phoenix City. Clemson's had some success there with some guys. That's where Justin Ross went to school, E.J. Williams, Ray Thornton. Off the top of my head, I know those three went there. But talking about being one of the better players in the country, this kid's one of the 10 best players in the class. 5-star all the way. And I mean, he's fast. He's got wheels. He can run. And if there's one thing I think Clemson's lacking in that wide receiver room, it is elite speed. Although I think people aren't aware of how fast Adam Randall is. He's faster than people think. I'm not sure he's got elite speed, but he's got speed. Tyler Brown's extremely fast. But Clemson can use some more speed in that wide receiver room. So you can get a guy like Cam Coleman on board. You've hit one out of the park. As far as their chances, they're in it. They got some work to do that weekend when he gets here in June. But that's what this weekend is for. To kind of make your final big pitch to these kids, because most of them's going to be committing later in the summer. So that's what this weekend is for. And they'll take advantage of it. Brady says they need Coleman. They need one of Coleman and Matthews. I'll give you that. They need one of those kind of playmakers in that room. I am a big Alex Taylor fan. I think he is a guy that can, he's a big body guy that can go up and get the ball. He's real smooth in and out of his breaks. He's got great hands, but he does not have elite speed like these guys have. They're different kind of receivers, and you kind of need both. If you want to succeed at the highest level, you need both types of receivers. And I think you need to land one of Coleman, Wesco, or Mike Matthews. I think you need to land one of those guys to add that elite speed to the room. Who are the defensive ends they are looking at? Mayo, Darian Mayo will be here that weekend. He's one of them. This is a place that I think the board's going to end up having to expand. Let me pull up my other list right here before I start saying things wrong. The other name to know defensive end is Edric Houston. He's going to be there that weekend. Right now, those are the only two I have coming that weekend. So you're going to have to expand the board most likely, unless you hit on both those guys. Mayo has kind of been considered to be a Penn State lean. Again, I don't know how true that is. That's why I don't like to use those. I don't like to say he's so-and-so's a Georgia lean or Ohio State lean or a Clemson lead or whatever, because recruitments change on a whim and you just never know. But I think Clemson's in it with Mayo. I think they're in it with Houston. I think they're in it more than some would assume with Houston. It's going to be hard to pull him out of Georgia, make no mistake, but we talked about it last week. I can't remember if he was at Clemson 2 games or 3 games during the fall. He's been back in the offseason. There's something that keeps bringing him back. And, when there's something that keeps bringing those guys back, you've got a shot. There is something that draws those guys to your program, and those are the kind of guys you have a realistic shot at landing. Clemson's pedigree for putting defensive linemen in the league absolutely helps them here. Where Georgia's pedigree with linebackers might help them more with Sammy Brown than it would Clemson. Clemson's pedigree with defensive linemen is absolutely going to help them out with Houston. And Houston is another one of those. He's an elite level guy, 5-star, one of the best players in the class. But if we're talking about defensive ends in general, I think the board is going to have to expand. You want to take 2. You don't have any yet. And right now, it only looks like 2 are going to be here that weekend. That could change. We'll see. We still got a little over a week to go, or a little less than 2 weeks to go before that weekend. So we could see some more names added to that. But right now, I only have Mayo and Houston as the guys coming. You land both those guys, you've done pretty daggone well, though. Well, here we go right here. I've been sitting on this, waiting to the right time to let it out publicly. Here you go. June 28th, we are going to do a live show, and it's going to be all about recruiting. It's going to be following up we're going to do it at the end of June. Remember a year ago when Clemson had all those commitments in June, coming off of that big official visit weekend. Not sure they'll have 12, 13 like they did last year, but I expect them to reap the benefits of that weekend again this year. It is going to produce some results. We'll just have to see which guys they end up landing. And by June 28th, we'll know. We're going to be on location. We'll let you know where, but this channel right here is where you can find it. Be looking on the lookout for more details. That is coming on June 28th. We will also be up in Durham for the ACC baseball tournament this week and weekend, hopefully. AllClemsonTigers.com. We will have you covered. We'll have you covered for the softball super regional there in Norman. We will be on top of it. Check us out. AllClemsonTigers.com. Don't forget. I have to remind you again. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. Join me again right here next Monday.